Today, we're unraveling the fascinating world of Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, a book that doesn't just challenge the way we think about human behavior, but exposes the hidden forces that drive our everyday decisions. We like to believe we're logical creatures, carefully weighing the pros and the cons, making rational choices in our best interest. But Ariely, a behavioral economist and master storyteller, reveals that we're far from rational, yet we're surprisingly predictable in our irrationality. Well, today we're going to break down those key takeaways, explore real world applications, and give you some practical strategies to outsmart your own irrational choices. Welcome to the Good Leadership Podcast, where we explore the stories, strategies, and insights of thought leaders who inspire us to think differently and lead better. Through candid conversations and expert perspectives, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and practical lessons that shape exceptional leadership. Imagine you just bought a brand new car. It's sleek. It's got that new car smell, and for the first few weeks, you feel like you're on top of the world. Then one day, your coworker rolls up with the exact same car, but this one has leather seats and a panoramic sunroof. And just like that, your car, your perfectly fine, beautiful car, now feels meh. That, my friends, is relativity in action. See, the problem isn't that your car just got worse overnight. It's that your brain can't evaluate things in isolation. We don't have a built-in value meter that tells us what something is worth. Instead, we compare constantly, and sometimes those comparisons make us miserable. Let's talk about restaurant menus. Ever notice that every menu in a nice restaurant has that one dish that's outrageously expensive? You think, who on earth is going to order this? Well, let me tell you, no one. That $120 steak is not on the menu because they expect anyone to buy it. It's there to make the $60 steak look reasonable. And you smartly ordered that $60 steak. Congratulations, you just got played. How does relativity mess with job satisfaction? Well, picture this. You just landed a job with your great salary. You're feeling good, you're paying your bills, and life is solid. Then one day you find that coworker that makes $5,000 more than you. Suddenly, your job feels insulting. You're mad at your boss. You're updating your resume and you're wondering how you could have been so undervalued. But here's the catch. Nothing about your job actually changed. Your workload, the same. Your responsibilities, the same. Your bank account, the same. The only thing changed is now you have a comparison, and it gets worse. Studies show that, believe it or not, a man's happiness with their salary isn't about how much they actually make. According to Ariely, it's about whether they make more than their wife's sister's husband. Yes, you heard that right. Not their best friend, not their boss, their wife's sister's husband. Why? Because our brains pick the easiest available option for comparison. So how do we break through this cycle of relativity? One, shrink your comparison circle. If you're in a class reunion and there's some guy humbly bragging about his yacht, go talk to someone else. Think bigger. Instead of comparing one price to another, zoom out and say, what actually really matters to me? And finally, before making a purchase, remove the decoy. Would you still want that $850 TV if the $1,400 TV wasn't there? Because the only way to win at this game is to stop playing it. The second irrationality trigger is anchoring. You ever walk into a store, look at those $500 pair of headphones and think, absolutely not. That's highway robbery. But then right next to them, there's a $200 pair. And suddenly, the $200 pair seems like a steal. You feel like you've just outsmarted the system, made a rational choice, and saved yourself $300. But did you? Or did you just fall for one of the oldest psychological tricks in the book? Because the $500 pair, it was never meant to be sold. It was just there to make the $200 pair look like a bargain. That, my friends, is anchoring. And if you've ever overpaid for coffee, sneakers, fancy sandwiches, congratulations, you've been a victim. The first price we set sets our mental benchmark for most products. From that moment on, everything else is judged in relation to that first number. So when Starbucks sets the expectation that a fancy coffee is $5, suddenly anything less than that seems cheap, reasonable, or even bad quality, even if, let's be honest, it's just coffee. And the worst part is that the first price that you see doesn't even have to make sense. It could be completely random. But once it's in your head, it becomes your new reality. Imagine you're shopping for Nike Air Jordans. The first pair you see is $300. Then you see a pair afterward for $150. You feel like you're getting a deal. But what if the first pair had been $75? That same $150 price tag would feel like a ripoff. Nothing about the sneakers changed, just your perception. So, therefore, every future sneaker purchase will now be compared to that price. That's arbitrary coherence. One random number, and your brain just committed to it for a long period of time. Now, let's talk about the sneakiest mind game of all. You ever buy something that was ridiculous once and tell yourself, oh, that's a special treat, and then suddenly it becomes a habit? That's what we call self hurting. Let's say the first time you buy a $7 coffee, oh, it's a splurge, but I deserve it. The second time, I got it last time, I kind of liked it, I'm going to get it again. Third time, guess what? I'm now the person who drinks $7 coffee. You've just convinced yourself that this is normal. And now you're financially contributing to Starbucks CEO's yacht fund every single day. At some point, we're not making a conscious decision anymore. We're just copying our past selves. And this is why first decisions matter way more than we realize. The first choice you make about your coffee, clothing, technology sets the stage for every future decision in that category. Because once that price is established as normal, you start basing every other decision based on that benchmark. So, how do you escape the anchoring trap? Question the first price you see. If something seems wildly expensive, don't let that be your benchmark. Pause before making a repeat purchase. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I want it or just because I've done it before? And reset your anchors. Every once in a while, step back and ask, if I were seeing this for the first time today, would I still think it's worth it? Because the only way to stop anchoring your decisions to the past is to start making conscious choices in the present. All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and devious triggers of irrationality, the magic of free. That one little word makes us completely lose our minds. We'll add extra junk to our online cart just to hit that free shipping threshold, even though we spend more money than we originally planned. And don't even get me started on BOGO deals, these buy one, get one free. What a steal. Except we only needed one. Guess what? Retailers know this, and they use it against us every single day. Why do you think online stores offer free shipping if you spend just a little bit more? Because they know you're going to add extra junk to your cart just to hit that magical free shipping threshold, even if it means spending more than we had originally planned. And here's where things get even crazier. We just don't value free stuff more. We forget to consider the downside. So why do we fall into this trap? Well, because we hate losing. And if we see something as free, we feel like if we don't grab it, we've missed out on something. Recognize the ways it's showing up in your life. So the next time you see something free, pause, ask yourself, would I want this if it wasn't free? If the answer is no, walk away. 2, measure the real cost. That free t-shirt, now you have to carry it all day long. So before you grab something, ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth the inconvenience? And stop spending money to save money. Imagine this. You've helped your neighbor lug a couch up 3 flights of stairs. Your arms feel like overcooked spaghetti. You're drenched in sweat, and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. You've helped out. That's what good neighbors do. Then out of nowhere, your neighbor pulls out a crisp $5 bill and hands it to you. Wait, what? $5? Now that's weird. Are you tipping me? Is that how much my biceps are actually worth? That, my friends, is the social norm versus the market norm dilemma in action. Remember, social norms are requests that are made and obliged because of the human need for connection and community. They provide pleasure for both parties, and there isn't a need for immediate compensation. And compensation isn't monetary. It's a reciprocal act of connection or community, such as inviting a neighbor for dinner to thank him for mowing your lawn. Market norms, on the other hand, are made and obliged because they are expected and enforced. These are transactions like a tenant paying a landlord for rent, or an employer paying an employee's wages. They are not necessarily for pleasure. There is a need for immediate compensation, and compensation, more than likely, is monetary. Imposing market norms on social relationships usually has a damaging outcome. However, imposing social norms on market relationships usually will have a positive outcome. And remember, money is the most expensive and least effective way to get people to do what you want. Instead, focus on cultivating social relationships and establishing these social norms. All right, let's be honest. If procrastination were an Olympic sport, we would all be gold medalists. You know exactly what I mean. You sit down ready to start that big project, and suddenly, boom, you have this compelling reason to reorganize your kitchen. The spices were fine for 2 years, but now they require your immediate attention. Why? Because long term goals are boring. Instant gratification is fun. The problem, we think we're in control. We assume the future version of ourselves is this productivity machine, waking up early, meal prepping, and knocking out deadlines with ease. But let's be real. Future you is just present you with more back pain and even worse excuses. So if logic and willpower aren't enough to save us, what is? The trick is pairing something we love with something we dislike, but that's good for us. Think of it as hacking your own brain. Hate cardio? Only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while on the treadmill. Dread doing laundry? Only watch Netflix while folding clothes. Struggle in saving money? Set up an automatic savings transfer every payday before you even see the money. It's not about willpower. It's about setting up systems that make good choices the easiest option. Let's talk about why getting rid of things feels so painful, and it starts with talking about loss aversion. Why selling feels like a crime. Because guess what? Our brains hate losing things way more than they enjoy gaining things. That's why giving up something we own feels like a tragedy, even if it's useless. Think of that old painting hanging in my hallway right now. I could sell it for a good price, but instead of thinking about what I could gain, all I can focus on is the pain of losing it. So guess what? I'm keeping it. We overestimate how much people care about things we love. And when buyers don't see the value that we do, we feel insulted. But sometimes it's not even about the emotions, it's about the effort we put in. Dan Ariely talks about the IKEA effect. Ever built an IKEA shelf and felt an unreasonable amount of pride? The more effort we put into something, the more valuable we believe it is. You spend 4 hours assembling a bookshelf with nothing but an Allen wrench and pure frustration. And now, what is it? A priceless artifact. Even though a pre-assembled version exists for about the same price, you're convinced that your version is superior. Why? Because you built it. So if you want to stop falling for this mental trap, do these things. Before setting a price for something, ask, would I pay this much if I didn't already own it? Or before buying something, ask yourself, would I still want this if I never saw the ad? Or how about before keeping something out of guilt, ask yourself, would I buy this back if I sold it? Because at the end of the day, owning something doesn't actually make it more valuable. It just makes it harder to let go. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest scams your brain pulls on you every day, the illusion of unlimited choices. We love having options. We think more choices, more freedom. But in reality, too many choices leave us overwhelmed, indecisive, and weirdly unhappy. Have you ever gone on LinkedIn to just browse for jobs and ended up doing nothing because the options feel overwhelming? Guilty as charged. The more doors we leave open, the harder it is to walk through any one of them. Here's the problem. Commitment feels like we're losing in these cases. Picking one job, we're missing out on others. Choosing a major, closing all those other doors. Deleting dating apps. Well, what if there's a better person on another platform? But keeping all options open means we're never fully investing in anything. And sometimes it's not just about closing doors, it's about making a tough call between two really good ones. Because having just two good options can be even harder than having 10 bad ones. Because if both choices are good, you keep overanalyzing, waiting for that perfect sign that may never come. So instead of agonizing over the details, ask yourself these two questions. Which option aligns with my long-term goals? Which choice will I regret not taking 5 years from now? Pick one, move on. And here's the kicker. Even after we finally make a choice, we're going to still second guess ourselves because the more choices we have, the more we doubt ourselves after making that decision. Once you made a choice, you got to commit. Don't waste your energy wondering about the what ifs. Trust yourself and move forward. Have you ever noticed how food tastes better in a high-end restaurant? It's not just the food, it's the dim lighting, the fancy plates, the waiter calling you sir or ma'am. Ariely's research shows that our expectations can literally change our experience. If we think something will be good, we actually experience it as better because your brain predecides how things will feel before it even experiences them. Studies show that wine tastes richer when poured from an expensive-looking bottle, even when it's the same wine as a cheap one. Presentation matters, friends, which is why businesses go all in on branding. In blind taste tests, people can reliably tell the difference between Coke and Pepsi, and they prefer Pepsi over Coke. But the second they see the brand, Coke wins every time. A strong brand can literally make the same product taste better, feel better, and seem like the right choice. So here's the thing. Expectations aren't the enemy. The key is to be aware of them so they work for you, not against you. Be mindful of those branding tricks. Are you paying for quality or just the perception of it? Set positive expectations. If you go into an experience excited, you're going to enjoy it more. And control your mental inputs. What you see, hear, and think affects how you perform. Because at the end of the day, your reality is only as good as you expect it to be. Ever taken a pill, felt relief almost instantly, and thought, wow, that worked fast? Newsflash, it didn't. That's the placebo effect. Your brain deciding something works because it expects it to. And it's not just medicine. Branding, pricing, marketing all use this trick to make you think things are more effective than they actually are. And the placebo effect runs on two major tricks. First, belief. If you think something works, your brain's going to make it feel real. Two, conditioning. Like Pavlov's dogs drooling at a bell, we associate things with results. For example, just seeing a painkiller bottle makes people feel relief faster, even if they haven't taken anything yet. But belief alone isn't enough. Let's talk about the role that price plays in this process. Because if a product costs more, we assume it's better. And studies prove this to be the case. Studies show people think expensive painkillers work faster, even when they have the identical chemical content to the cheap version. Because why? Price sets the expectations, and expectations shape our reality. So how can you escape the placebo effect and make it work for you? Be aware of marketing tricks. Higher price does not mean higher quality. Set positive expectations. If you expect to enjoy something, guess what? You will. And use placebos on yourself. If believing in something makes it work better, lean into it. Because at the end of the day, your brain believes what it wants. You might as well use that to your advantage. All right, we've covered a lot today. How your expectations shape reality, why expensive things seem better, and how marketing tricks your brains, and why we keep falling for those same psychological traps over and over again. So what's the big takeaway? We're not as rational as we think. But the good news, once you know how your brain works, you can hack it. So here's my challenge for you. Try one of these psychological tricks on yourself this week. Set higher expectations and see if it makes the experience better. Test a cheaper product to see if it works as well as the expensive version. Catch yourself when marketing is influencing your choices. Then let me know what happens. Drop a comment, send me a message, or tag me on social media. I want to hear your stories. Did you catch yourself falling for the decoy effect? Did branding make you think something was better than it actually was? And if you haven't read Predictably Irrational, get on it. It'll change how you see the world. I hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights. If it has, I ask you to share it with someone who would also benefit from it. If you've been enjoying and gaining knowledge from this podcast, then subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find all the previous episodes of the podcast and additional learning resources. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Apple or Spotify and leave up to a 5-star review.